morning, buongiorno, buon dia. In Buddha's time, when Buddha passed away, the disciples met afterwards and they found out that to some of them Buddha had given one instruction and to others Buddha had given an instruction that looked contradictory or opposite. For instance, to some of them Buddha said, taking refuge, the true refuge is the recitation, is what you say. I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. What you really think, what you really feel, that's not so important. The true refuge is what you recite. And then to other disciples, Buddha instead said, actually the true refuge is what you think and what you feel. You can say whatever you want, but truly is what you are feeling inside. What is the state of consciousness that you develop? So when Buddha passed away, the disciples met and they came to the point which one was right. And correctly, each one followed the instructions that they have received, because both were right, actually. The main issue here is that very often in the teachings of Buddha, we come in the part which talks about body, speech, and mind. And it's very clear for us that some of us, as in the case the time of Buddha, some of his disciples, they didn't have the strength to direct their own mind, because it's not easy to understand a direction that the mind should follow and to have the strength to be able to direct the mind. So in that case, we should start by directing the body and the speech. And if we use our body and our speech in a certain direction, consequently, our mind will follow. Okay? We are mostly made of habits. And we know that actually to know something is important, but truly speaking, it's not enough. The way how we act in our daily life, the things that we do, they are mostly influenced by our habits, not by our knowledge. And there are many things that we know, oh, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, but still, we act differently. Why? Because we have our habits. And by habits, I do not mean eating bread with Nutella in the morning. By habits, I mean the way how we see the world, the way how we relate to reality, habits of anger, of aggressivity, habits of attachment, of jealousy, of envy, mental patterns that we have learned since we were children to relate to the world in that way. Some of these habits we bring with us from lives. So, these patterns, these habits that we have within us, they are truly strong and deep. It's not something that we can change easily, that we can change in a minute. And to know it's truly not enough. So to say to ourselves, I shouldn't get angry, doesn't work. To say to ourselves, I shouldn't be bossy, doesn't work. It's good to know, but it's not enough. So, the important process is that every time that these patterns, every time that these mental, emotional habits appear, because they do appear, what we need to be careful is not to materialize them. Because every time we speak out of these habits, we act out of them, we are reinforcing them, we are materializing them. So, when we imagine, for instance, anger or jealousy or any other emotion like this, when they come, do they stay there forever or at some point they fade away? Luckily, they are also impermanent. No? Also, joy also doesn't stay forever, right? Every state of our mind and consciousness is impermanent. So, one of images that we can imagine is like inner weather forecast, okay? So there are moments in which there are storms and moments in which you have a sunny, beautiful day. But when the storm comes up, normally what should we do when a storm comes up? We should fight the storm, or we should look for a safe place where to wait the storm to end. So, it's important for us to look for a safe place where we wait the storm to end. And we do not follow the storm. We don't try to block the storm, but at the same time we are not following up the storm. So what does this mean? When the storm arrives, out of anger, jealousy, envy, whatever type of storm, we are careful, first of all, not to follow it by manifesting it through words that we say and actions that we do. Because the issue is that once I have said things, for example, out of anger or jealousy, and I have done things out of it, when the storm is gone, the actions are still there. And I am responsible for it. Now the storm is gone, but I need to deal with what I have done. And sometimes we are too proud even to acknowledge that we did something stupid. And we are too proud to say sorry, we are too proud to go and try to change what we have done, but deep inside we know that we did something stupid. So it's very important for us to go beyond that proud, because otherwise it holds us into something that is not healthy and good for us. On the other side, what is happening also is that every time that we manifest through words and actions any negative habit we have, for example, we can have laziness or anything, we are reinforcing that habit again and again. So we don't have the strength to say, I should not be lazy anymore, and then we are not lazy. We don't have the strength to say, oh, I shouldn't be angry, and then the anger is gone. So what can we do? What we can do is that when the storm comes up, whatever it is, we find a safe place within ourselves where to wait it to pass by. And most of all, we hold ourselves from manifesting it into words and actions. You know? We can make a little bit like a crazy one. Okay, I didn't understand. Change place, change context, sometimes. Better than reacting. But we should not block it, because if we try to block, I shouldn't feel this, how bad I am, I shouldn't do it, then it's going to be even stronger. We acknowledge I have this bad habit. It's not the situation. The situation is awakening a habit that I have. So I don't fight against the situation at the moment. I allow it to pass by. Just like a storm that comes, and I allow the storm to come and to pass by. And then there will be a moment in which it will be gone. But it's really, really important for us to understand that what finally shapes our mind, it's much more our actions of body and speech than our understanding and knowledge. No? So we should be careful to direct clearly the way how we act and give importance to it, because by shaping our actions we are shaping our mind. One more thing. Sometimes it happens that when the storm comes up, we are not able to hold ourselves. So we react. We say things, we act in certain ways, and then when the storm is gone, we can see, oh, how many trees have fallen, how many houses have been destroyed, what have happened by that storm, no? What were the harms that the storm brought, the damage that it brought. But the real problem, according to my understanding, is that we believe somehow, very often, that in the moment that the storm comes up, we are the victim. Because Our tendency to say, yes, it's true that I have overreacted. It's true that I have acted with aggression and I have done this and that, taking, for instance, anger. But if you had not said this and if he had not done that, I would have not reacted. So I am the victim of the situation. But as long as we put ourselves as the victim, we will continue again and again and again and again to repeat the same patterns. So it's extremely important actually not to victimize ourselves and to understand that a context where you said this and he did that is just a condition through which my own anger, pride, jealousy, whatever is manifesting. So, when I have been taken by the storm and it has harmed someone, I should go and say sorry. I should go and try to do something to change it. Because the life passes quick and we're going to die. And we don't need to keep all these things inside. And the other thing is that opportunities, they pass by in life so fast, so quick. And what we have now, we are not going to have tomorrow. So, very often we may destroy opportunities because we are too proud to acknowledge that we overreacted or we reacted in a way that was not good and so on, and to say I'm sorry and to try to do something opposite in a situation that we know that is not good. So it's important when the storm has passed, let's see if there was any damage when we were not able to wait it to pass. Okay? One last thing which I wanted to bring, which it's very important, it's short but it's truly important, is that, as we have just said, we are made out of habits. And in our daily life, we act a lot, we do many things. Okay? And maybe you have listened sometimes saying in Buddhist teachings, it's more important how we do than what we do. And one way it's true, but this doesn't justify every type of action. Okay? If I give you poison with the best of the intentions, it's still poison. So best motivation with ignorance sometimes can be danger. Sometimes I see people doing the best with the best intention, but they don't understand the situation and finally it harms more than benefits. Okay, so yes, motivation is very important, but understanding and knowledge and wisdom is also very, very important together. But that's another subject. I'm not entering into that right now. We would need to explain karma and the whole thing, that's too long. My main point is that it's true that what we do is important, and more than what we do, how we do it's more important. Also because life passes by fast. And by the end of the day, and what I mean by the end of the day is not only the day of today, it's the end of the week, it's the end of the month, and finally the end of one's own life. What I believe is that what truly matters is not so much what we have done in our life, but what we have become. Because what we do, it's important, and it interacts with other people, and it moves on. But if I do great things, but I become a person full of pride and arrogance and anger and suffering, and I become a very miserable person with bad habits, finally, what's the point? So we should look to ourselves and say, okay, by the end of the day, the main issue is not what I have done, but what I have become. Who am I? And in order to have the certainty that by the end of the day we become something better, a better version of ourselves, we need to be careful in every small action in our daily life, because every action that we do, it will reinforce one habit. Just making a very silly example. We finish now the teachings, and then as we finish, everybody goes, and let's say that we are the last one in the room, and we see that the cushions have not been put back into their right place. Okay? And we look into it and we see, oh, the cushions need to be put back. But I don't want. So out of laziness, we say, okay, I don't do. If we have the feeling of laziness and we don't put back the cushions into their right place, what are we reinforcing inside ourselves? Laziness. You know, most probably it won't make a big difference if I don't put the cushions back. Someone else at some point will do it. But in the fact that not putting the cushions back, what am I reinforcing within myself? Laziness. Do I want to be a more lazy person or a less lazy person? If I want to be a more lazy person, wonderful. If I don't want to have laziness, then I should not follow it. Or I say, oh, I will not put the cushions back because this is not my responsibility, someone else should do. With what am I reinforcing? Lack of sense of community and lack of respect for what is belonging to everyone and so on. So the main point is that in front of every situation that we are, the way how we dress, the way how we speak, the choices that we make in many situations in our daily life, behind each one of them there is a habit, there is a pattern. And by acting in one way or in another, we are reinforcing one thing or another. Or we are weakening or reinforcing a habit. If we follow the habits, we are reinforcing the habits. If I have the habit of laziness and I said, no, I will put the cushions back. What I'm doing, I am weakening my laziness. The point is not I am putting the cushions into the right place. I am weakening my laziness. What is important is that if I am able to come and I have the weakness, I'm not going to put the cushions back, then I go and I said, no, I will do it, and then I put all the cushions back, then I need to be careful not to follow another habit, which is that of attachment to my own image, and go to say, you see that I did put the cushions back into place to someone else? Because then we are reinforcing another bad habit. Okay? So basically, we should be careful very much that every action that we do reinforces something of us. And the conclusion is that who do I want to become? By the end of the day, who I want to be? A person with more love, kindness, patience, joy, or with more anger, insatisfaction, arrogance, or whatever. Who do I want to become? And then we should act in our daily life in accordance to what we want to be and not to what we are. Because if we act in accordance to what we are just reinforcing what we are. If we act in accordance to what we want to be, we are weakening the bad habits that we have, and we are directing ourselves to become what we want to be. And by that, gradually, daily, we shape ourselves as life goes on. Okay? As Rinpoche said, there is no other miracle than the miracle of changing one's own mind. And this is only happening by directing our daily actions and changing gradually our inner habits. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chin namkar chinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasum ki drove munsel tatu ne gyurchi Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin Nintsen takto delekpe koncho sumke chingilo koncho sumke ngodrup sol koncho sumke trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with the various signs of auspiciousness.